Hello, welcome back. So today what I wanted to do is something I actually wanted to do last month and I didn't do it. It is the books that I've read this month, so I'm actually going to do February's books. Obviously this is March now, so at the end of March into April then I'll do March's books and so on and so forth. I did want to do it for January, but I actually ended up reading absolutely nothing in January. So yeah, I'm trying to kind of get myself back into reading because I like to read a lot of books, and I haven't done for a while, and so I want to get back into reading again, and so I thought it would be good to read and then come on and share with you guys what I've read, what I thought of it, that kind of thing. So I actually only read 2 books in February. I'd intended to read more. I'm halfway through a third one, but it is a children's book, which I'm reading for Dexter, so I will add that on next month. Anyway, so 2 books that I actually read this month. So the first book is Room by Emma Donoghue, and I've actually lent the book to my mum now, so I'm just going to show you a picture of what it looks like. So it's this one here. So I think this has actually been made into a movie now, but I haven't seen it. So this is following the story. It's told from the point of view of Jack, who has just turned 5, and he talks about his surroundings and things, and it turns out that he lives in this room, and that's his whole life. His whole life is room, and he thinks that things on TV are all pretend and made up because room is just the entire world. He thinks the whole world is this room. So as we go on, we find out where the room is, what it is, what the story behind it is. So he lives there with his mum, or Ma, he calls her Ma, and he speaks about the inanimate objects there as though they are like living, as though they are animate objects. So he gives like pronouns to things like chairs, so like she, the chair's a she, and bed and things like that. And yeah, so it's just basically about his experience living in this room, and I don't want to go into too much detail and give it away, but like, we find out what the room is, why he's there, and then ultimately does get out of room with his mum and discovers the real world. So I enjoy books that are written from a different perspective than I usually read. So like, for example, one of my favourite books ever is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time by Mark Haddon, which is written from the point of view of a boy who is autistic, and he captures that really well, so I love that kind of thing. So this was written from the point of view of Jack, who is 5, and his view on the world is just so vastly different to like mine or yours, because we know the world is not just a room. So it was really interesting to me to read from that point of view. I did, after a few chapters, wonder whether it was ever going to switch to his mum's point of view to explain her part in the story, but she then does explain that to Jack, and we hear that through her telling him, so we get that. So yeah, so it's all good. So it's a really good book. I quite fancy watching the movie now. I'm not sure how it will translate into a movie, whether it will translate well, but yeah, good book. I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it. So the second book that I read in February was Extinction Point by Paul Anthony Jones, and I just read it on my Kindle, so I'll show you the front cover of it here. So I got this because it was on offer on Amazon for like £1 or something like that. You know, sometimes they have like 40 books that you can get for £1. So I saw that and it sounded really good. So I will read you actually the blurb. Okay, so the blurb is this. First comes the red rain, a strange scarlet downpour from a cloudless sky that spreads across cities, nations, and the entire globe. In a matter of panicked hours, every living thing on earth succumbs to swift, bloody death. Yet Emily Baxter, a young newspaper reporter, is mysteriously spared, and now she's all alone. But watching the happy life she built for herself in New York City slip away in the waste of a monstrous, inexplicable plague is just the beginning of Emily's waking nightmare. The world isn't ending, it's only changing, and the race that once ruled the earth has now become raw material for use by a new form of life never before seen on this planet. With only wits, weapons and a bicycle, Emily must undertake a grueling journey across a country that's turning increasingly alien. For though she fears she's been left to inherit the earth, the truth is far more terrifying than a lifetime of solitude. So that is the description of the book. Yeah, so that appealed to me because I like kind of dystopian things and you know, just things like end of the world and, sorry, excuse the dog barking, end of the world and what would happen and things like that. That appeals to me. So yeah, so the whole premise of this book really appealed to me. So I started reading it and immediately I kind of noticed that the writing wasn't quite up to par. I sound really bitchy saying that, but the writing wasn't the best. But I can overlook that if it's a good storyline. Just little things like, you know, one sentence would have Emily did blah blah blah, and then the next sentence instead of saying then she did, it would say then Emily did blah blah blah. So it's Emily did this, Emily did that, and then sometimes it would even be Emily Baxter did this with her full name, which was just slightly irritating. Minor point really, but I do pick up on these things and sometimes it just makes the kind of flow of the book not the best. But the actual storyline was pretty good. It did get frustrating as well quite a lot in that Emily didn't leave after this red rain had fallen, and things began to change in the city, and obviously all her friends and loved ones and everything had all died. She was the only person left in New York, and there was a point where she came across something that would be a trigger for any normal person to get out of there, but yet she continued to go back to her own house for like days after this. So there were frustrating things like that where any normal sane person would be out of there and she just like held on for ages. I think she stayed in the city for like 6 days or a week after this red rain plague thing had wiped everybody out, and it was just absolutely crazy that she continually went back to her apartment block and continually spent another night in the city. So it was really frustrating. And then things like as well, she was walking through the park and she saw some monstrous alien structure with like an alien thing going towards it. That was total spoilers, sorry. And she's like, oh, I know I shouldn't walk towards this, but I'm going to anyway. And then she gets really close to it and it's just, I know there's times in books and movies and things like that where you are kind of crying out to the main character, like, don't go there, don't do that, and they do it anyway. But then when they continually do things that are frustrating to the reader or viewer, it gets quite annoying. And then there are alien things in it, and I have no idea what they look like because the author described these alien things and it was just totally incomprehensible to me what they were trying to get across, what they were supposed to look like. I think a little bit more thought could have gone into the description of them because there was mention of like a corkscrew body, so I just imagined this big kind of spring on legs, which was just crazy, and I'm sure that's not what they were going for. But a little bit more thought, a little bit more care in describing things, and a good edit, and it would be a decent story. What I didn't realise when I bought it is the first in a series, and I really actually have no desire to buy the second one in the series. It was annoying that I'd got through the entire book and didn't really have any answers. She's only just left the city. But I've got no desire to read this next in the series, so that's my recommendation. But some people might like it. Like, honestly, the storyline is not bad, it just needs a little bit more thought in some of the descriptions of things and a good edit, and it would be pretty damn good. Like, the whole idea of it is decent, so yeah. So those were the only two books that I read in February. I am currently reading a children's book. It's by David Baddiel and it's called, I think it's called The Boy Who Could Do Whatever He Wanted. I'll just double check that. The Boy Who Could Do What He Liked by David Baddiel. That is what I'm reading just now. I did get it to read to Dexter and then I started reading it by myself, so I'm going to continue reading it by myself and then I will read it to Dexter as well. Yeah, so I will see what I think of that next month, but I'm hoping to read more than just 2 books a month. It's just finding the time to do it is difficult, but I really love reading, so I'm gonna try my hardest. Right, so thanks for watching. If you have any recommendations of books for me to read next month, I would really appreciate it if you left it in the comments down below. And yeah, please like this video. If you like the rest of my videos and want to see more, then don't forget to subscribe. as everybody else says, it's free and it only takes a second. It does, it's true. So please do that, and I will see you guys on Wednesday for my Serious Wednesday video, which is pretty heavy going. Actually, I've still got a lot of work to do on it. It's just, oh, it's a lot. Anyway, so I'll see you on Wednesday for my Serious Wednesday, and so until then, bye. Hello, welcome back to my channel. That was not a good intro at all.